Midnight Sun. Joining me today, Robbie Mills and Alex Fincher. Today, we will be discussing the nature of the soul. And I was originally going to say the nature of a human soul, but then I was like, well, I mean, that already establishes a certain nature of it.
It could apply to several different things. You know,
yeah. That's the thing is, there's a lot of you had multiple definitions of soul that you had jotted down for this. To me, like I figured that's kind of what's best to start with is like a definition. So first off,
the capital of South Korea.
Yeah.
Case closed. See y'all next week.
Yeah, right. What were the definitions that you had?
So the first one defines the soul as the spiritual or immaterial part of a human being or animal regarded as immortal, and the most apt synonym with that would be one's psyche. The second one is a little bit more derivative of the same, a person's moral or emotional nature or sense of identity, and the word attributed to that was spirit.
Okay.
And then there was emotional or intellectual energy or intensity, especially as revealed in a work of art or an artistic performance, excluding postmodern art.
Yeah.
Not the official definition. That's just my opinion.
Mine too. Knowing that I can put a paintbrush on my asshole, paint a shit streak on something. Like, there we go. It's worth $100,000.
And that was attributed to inspiration. And the final one would be the essence or embodiment of a specified quality, and it just had attributed embodiment.
Okay, so kind of like it, just given that it had like a psyche, spirit, and then
I really like the term essence. I feel like
yeah.
Good.
See to the like that speaks a lot because I was just kind of I didn't look anything up. I was just kind of thinking about it, and I was like the subjective element of being. So when you strip every experience, like every subjective experience away, that one thing that's left prior to any and all experience and all of that, I think that's what the soul you could ultimately boil it down as. So essence would be a good word for that.
I would say before getting too deep into the subject as of yet, it would be important to at least identify one of the major difficulties of this topic. Oh, the same thing could be applied to like God.
I was gonna say it's the religious schism here. Like
well, I mean, you can't empirically prove that a soul exists.
Fair enough.
Is there a soul? Do we all have a soul? That's the question I asked when you brought this topic up.
Yeah. The idea of a soulless being. I mean, that kind of goes to the whole having a sleeve or a body, just a body that
or just those NPCs walking around the streets these days.
Yeah, that you just see they're just saying weird lines, and it's like, what the fuck is
We have to save my family. You've been telling me that for the last 5 hours.
Yeah, I've encountered that. It's weird. Does
it make you curious how people experience things differently? Do you have a different level of having a soul as well?
I mean, there's different perspectives. I mean, everybody has different experiences. There's different upbringings, different mindsets. I definitely think that having the ability to access other people's not just necessarily their consciousness, but their perspectives, to see the world through their eyes, would definitely generate a lot more empathy in the world.
Oh, yeah. I think that's the idea behind a lot of religious teachings, actually, is the notion of, like, that's one thing that I like about something like Hinduism, is so you have the idea of reincarnation, and and he had brought it up. It's the idea of there's one ultimate soul, like the universe's soul, and it experiences itself subjectively through all of these different lenses.
I'll read it.
So it's the idea. Hold on. It's the idea that like my soul and your soul and his soul are all the same thing. So when you strip all of our subjective experiences away, we're the same thing. So to look at every
aspect of each other.
In the sense that like there's 3 dogs that like each one is a different breed and they're clearly distinguishable from the other, but at the same time they're like characterized the same way.
Yeah, like in their essence is like a dog nature, you would say.
But we are 3 men.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not the same in the sense that we are perfectly identical.
No, and that's where subjective experiences would come in. That's where I would say subjective. Like you start out, you know how you said that like infants are innocent, like they have there's nothing on them. And it's sort of like that. Save genetic features, like physiological traits of the body, which again, the soul is the immaterial aspect.
Yeah.
It's that immaterial thing. So like, when infants would all have the same soul. It's an innocent, clean, unwiped soul. So, and then subjective experiences and biological filters, like how your brain constructs itself and all of that kind of stuff, that then breeds the subjective being that we all come to know as whatever their name is, Alex or Robbie or Warren or whoever.
Yeah.
So that soul, that core thing that when everything else is stripped away, it would all be the same within each of us. And the idea there that I was getting at was that would breed a lot of empathy. If you looked at it like, oh, that guy is just me, but going through a whole whirlwind of other shit. Like, wow, if I was going through that shit, I'd want people to be a little nicer. That kind of thing. That's what I like about the more Eastern Hindu ideas behind the soul, because that was one thing that I had here. Is it like individual souls, or is there like one soul that sort of inhabits all of us?
See, and that's something that I can have some respect for in people that are open-minded toward individual experiences, because if you can put yourself in somebody else's shoes and then have a perspective in that sense, like instead of just like closing off and like, well, this is how I live and this is how everyone else should live. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, despite what they might be going through.
Yeah, we need to teach the others about our peaceful ways, but by force.
Yeah, right.
If they will not learn peace, we will make them learn peace.
Man. I can read this real quick.
This was an interesting...
Platonic Hindu. The human soul is naturally and essentially immortal. It is uncreated and eternal. The soul passes from one body to another through a series of many incarnations. After paying off its skin, the soul is liberated from somatic existence
somatic
and
existence.
Lives in a totally blissful state. And then there was another one according to the soul, according to the Bible. According to Genesis 2:7, God did not make a body and put a soul into it like a letter into an envelope of dust. Rather, he formed man's body from the dust. Then, by breathing divine breath into it, he made the body of dust live. The dust did not embody a soul, but it became a soul, a whole creator.
Oh, so that, see, okay, so that actually, there is a differentiation there. So in the Hindu, the what is it, Hindu Platonic, or Platonic Hindu? In the Platonic Hindu, it's kind of this idea of one soul. It's like this idea of one soul that just transitions to each body through all the incarnations, and then once it's lived all of that potential incarnation, it sheds its somatic being, and it, I guess, ascends to a state closer to divinity. Not necessarily divinity, but closer to it. Whereas in the Christian one, when the bodies of Adam and Eve, or of Eve was breathed into, right? She had the breath.
Adam and Eve were, yeah.
Okay, so they had original divine soul, but they became souls separate from God, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah,
in an aspect.
It's the idea of the individual souls.
Yeah, because it seemed to say that like the soul and the body were one.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Well, yeah, because it said, where was it at the bottom? It said did not embody a soul, but became a soul, a whole creature. So, and that to me says that through their having the divine soul put in them, when they mated and produced children, it would seem that there was a new soul created through their divine union. Yeah. Like that, and so there's a whole new soul created. See, that's an interesting concept to me.
The biblical idea, I mean, so a lot of people, whether you're Christian or not, probably have heard the notion about how we are created in God's image. We are the image bearers. Well, you look at the Holy Trinity, you have the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. You have the Father as the mind, the Holy Spirit as the soul, the spirit,
and then the psyche,
and then the Son as the body.
Oh, as the body. Okay, as a physical.
At least that's how I understood it. So
okay, that makes sense.
So, like the Trinity, we ourselves are also 3 in 1. I'm not saying that we are God, but we are in the image of God.
Yeah.
As created beings.
Well, yeah, and that's the idea is when God fashioned Adam out of dust. I mean, that was God creating what I imagine God conceived of as the perfect being to inhabit this world that he created. Like, for this world, this is the ideal being to inhabit it. And then he breathed life into that, and hence it was shaped in God's image and then given divine spirit to be animated, which that breeds a whole new problem. So like the reason I like the idea of one soul that sort of inhabits all of us, like that notion, is for Occam's razor. Is it actually, it seems like, so when you have two souls that can then create another soul through union, like Adam and Eve did. There was a whole new son that created their sons and daughters. So what is it about, number one, how are those souls created? There's still also, too, the problem of how those souls become attached to the bodies, and which I imagine is easily solvable given the metaphysics of how the soul and the body work. When God breathed the divine breath into Adam and Eve, they became one whole creature. So I imagine when they produce offspring, it's one whole creature produced, soul and body. So that's easily solvable. But what...
That'd be the first creation of humans outside of Adam and Eve.
Yeah. And it to me, it arises... There's that problem of these souls that just kind of continually come about. What happens to them when they die? I understand that heaven is part of Christian metaphysics and most monotheistic metaphysics, but is it like... Is it that all heaven keeps populating, as does hell? Because I mean, not all souls go to heaven. So does hell just keep populating, and that's another, like I said, Occam's razor for why I like one soul. Is it's like it seems there's not this problem that arises of what happens to the souls, how are they created. We've sort of figured out how they're entangled to a body.
Well, I mean, if anybody could tell me how a soul is created, that would be great, because I have no idea.
Yeah, like that.
Other than what the Bible has said about God giving the breath of life. I mean, I'm not a biologist as far as like the actual physical process. I mean, I know the male and female sex cells merge into a zygote and there's a flash of light. But what happens during that process, I'm not sure. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, like and that
when does that come about too? Because you were talking about children kind of being innocent and not really having a
whole lot to them.
Yeah, a whole lot to them. So does it happen when the flash of light occurs, or does it happen through?
I would even
assume
I would say like that to me,
instead of just growing into who
we are talking about,
the soul,
life in the soul, like if. And to me, that spark of life is when the soul enters. If it's an individual soul, that's when it's created.
It's not like we're gonna like answer the end all be all of this topic during this. It's just a mere discussion.
And see, the thing is, that spark of life, that spark that happens when the zygote's created, that goes in line with either way. If you think that there are individual souls for each human being that are created, like under Christian metaphysics. That spark of life, that zygote's created, the soul's created. Boom. And if it's a matter of like a Platonic Hindu soul or a one soul sort of thing, once that spark happens, that's when there is soul in there. There's something more than just biology at work.
This one's really interesting. I don't know if you recall the DMT spirit molecule on Netflix. Remember I was telling you that they had individual experiences?
Yeah.
There was that one lady who had a series of interviews, and she discussed how she came back to basically like the choice of where you could decide to continue a new existence or stay within the plane of afterlife. And it was kind of like, she described it as like a pool where you just go into, and your soul is then reborn.
Oh, like when you choose to, like, I guess in this term, reincarnate.
Yeah, that's what I was pointing.
It's like you just kind of dive in, and then you're just washed clean, and you go. That's interesting that it's like water, because water is the unconscious. You like shed yourself and cleanse all past experience.
Even in Christianity, it's the same notion, symbolically at least, with baptism.
Yeah,
that your old self is washed away, and you become new. You become reborn.
Oh well, that water is a major symbol.
Yeah,
it just throughout. I mean that is, it's the deep unknown. Why do you think like Moby Dick?
No, I was thinking more of like the Great Purifier in a sense.
Oh,
like
it's
element.
Well, like from a psychological standpoint, like if you look at it from psychology, like water is when you're on a boat right on top of water, it's like that's your threshold between conscious and unconscious.
Yeah.
And you can kind of get glimmers of things that go down there, but you don't have a perfectly clear view. Yeah. But like a story like Moby Dick is like the demons that dwell in the subconscious. Yeah. Like that sort of thing. And
stop polluting the oceans. I'm just kidding.
I like that's a good. That's very interesting, talking about diving through a pool
of basically reincarnation.
And
the fact that she was explaining that she had the choice to either be reborn, and she knew, she had like this instinct that you would not have anything that you would not carry anything from your previous life, that it would basically be a new experience. Which is interesting. But I also like the idea of continuously reincarnating to grow the soul.
Yeah, to kind of like
eventually reach what some people would call the enlightenment.
The idea of going from caterpillar to butterfly.
Yeah.
Like that sort of thing. Yeah, that to me, I like the idea. I just hate the notion of, oh fuck, I'm gonna come back here. Shit.
Oh, wouldn't you like the whole?
Would I want to come back to 2020? Fuck no, I wouldn't want to come back to 2020.
Oh well, okay, so that would say that we would.
Well, I mean, as a baby, you wouldn't know what's going on with all this stuff, so you'd at least be spared however long this.
When you die, are you outside of the realm of time? Do you get to come back at any moment in existence? That's interesting as fuck.
That'd be
or weird. When you die, you can't come back to 2020.
You get to spin the wheel of reincarnation.
You get to come back a later existence. That'd be interesting. Because, I don't know, man, the whole idea of dying is kind of like, well, fuck, I want to know what happens in the next 5 years. Like,
oh my god,
you know what I mean? Especially now.
Yeah,
you definitely want to know what the fuck's going to go on in the next 4 years.
Good lord. Oh yeah, the next year is going to be goofy. The next year alone is going to be goofy, just much less
into next year,
everything else. Just like, Jesus, man, just
right off.
I'm just thinking of his idea of the wheel of reincarnation. You have like ethnicity, where you're born, and what time you're born in. Could you imagine that? You like spin it, and it's like, African, oh, you pray you don't get anything for 1965. It's like, well, let's hope you get a European country. Ooh, Bangladesh. It's going to be a rough one for you, buddy.
Wheel of Fortune on life. Jesus. Oh, God.
That would be so messed up.
I mean, how is that determined if you just, like, jump into a pool of reincarnation? Like, oh man, that would be hilarious.
It would be even worse if it was randomly generated. Like if you just, it's like, well, what'll happen to me? No, we don't know. When you dive through that water is essentially placenta, and you're just gonna burst through and as a baby, and you just hope you're in a Western country. That's really all I can say. Just hope you're in the West.
That's another thing about just.
Or in India, you'll learn some decent lessons in India at least. You'll learn how to meditate early. That's useful.
That's always been a thing for me on religion is, like, what if you're born... First of all, just having a specific religion, and then what if you're born in a patch of dirt that doesn't even have it or has some other religion that isn't the right one, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Like, are you just, you're damned because you're born on this certain patch of dirt?
Not necessarily.
Or
depends
like,
on
what
kind
if
of
you
metaphysics
never
you have.
make your way to a different religion, or the religion, whatever that may be, because of where you're born and where you end up living and dying? Like,
Well, okay, so if you have like more of a Dante-ish metaphysic, then you have the highest circle of hell, which is just kind of populated with people that can give you good conversation.
Well, I mean, in Catholicism, I think it would be more. Would it be more like purgatory, or would that be the first circle?
Well, I mean, I was going more off Dante, which he wasn't really a theologian or anything. It's just kind of his metaphysics towards it. Although in Catholicism, if you never knew of God, if you never knew of the Catholic Christian God, I think it would be purgatory. It'd be like purgatory for however long until it's like, oh, all right, I get it.
Number 779 now serving.
Yeah. I think there's that, and then there's also like there's this old like that old it's been a meme by now. It's a meme by now, but it's like a conversation between an Eskimo and a priest, and it said if I had never known of God, would I have gone to hell? And the priest says no, and then the Eskimo goes, then why'd you tell me about God?
oh.
Yeah, like I mean, it's kind of like
called blackmail. No.
I like that. That's really funny.
Gotcha, bitch.
Yeah, now I'm screwed. Now I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Once you know, you can't unknow.
That's kind of like what you showed me on our last podcast.
Oh, foot pussy?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Could never unknow that.
You can't unknow it. You can't unsee it. Did you see it?
Thanks for putting that image back in my mind. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Always, dude.
I had managed to repress
Back
it.
in your mind, bro. That will never leave.
Like
I can never unsee
It's
it.
a cognitive tattoo.
It's that one corner of the room that I just choose not to look at, and then you guys bring it up again. I'm like,
Ah, crap.
dang it.
Hey,
Gross.
I tried to be vague, bro. I tried to be vague.
Dude, how can you how can you not just say it? Foot pussy. That shit's funny. Like, it's gross as fuck, but it's
totally
funny.
like fits in with this conversation of soul and religion.
I still have it on my I have it on my Amazon cart just so it's there, so I can fucking
You
just.
saw me, bro. I hit history. It was like delete.
Oh yeah, I know. I want to be on that list. I want to have like a book of Platonic philosophy right above a foot pussy on my list.
Man.
I want Amazon to be like, how do we advertise to this guy? What is he into? Like, I don't get it.
And I like
He crashed the algorithm.
stray away from saying it. Warren says it with pride. I'm like trying to tiptoe, and Warren's like foot pussy.
It's awesome.
Wish list. I'm gonna leave it there for a bit.
That's what I need to do. I need to get one of those. You know how the only fan cam horror people have their wish lists and stuff? There's people that actually buy them shit. I'm gonna have one of those, and I'm gonna put the most fucked up shit on there. I just the most screwed up shit, like a vibrating gag ball.
I apologize for turning this conversation in the wrong.
Yeah, we were talking about the
direction.
human soul, and now I'm talking about all the sex toys. I'm gonna see if I can get other people to buy me.
Oh, I'm so sorry. God forgive me.
Bring that shit and put it up. Be like,
Look at him. He's just like, oh shit. Where'd this go? My bad.
you're part of it now. You're part of it like the rest of us.
Well, I can try to lead that into one of the topics. So although we can't empirically prove
This is gonna be a good jump. But go for it.
although we can't empirically prove the existence of a soul, I would argue that everybody in their own subjective way has experienced, I mean, hopefully at least by a certain point in life, profound sense of pain and joy that you could say. I mean, some people would say, "Oh, it's just the sincerity from the heart," but I feel like that expression could also be synonymous with like coming from the soul. Like,
Yeah.
You see something absolutely grotesque and horrible. Like, oh man, that hurt me in my soul.
Yeah, I love you with all my heart and soul. Like
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Yeah. That.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna take this into a strange place. but I've had dreams.
We just got out of one of those, dude.
Oh yeah, right. This is not that bad, I promise.
Okay.
No, I won't go back.
We're not going back, I promise.
I'm about to make it bad. Go for it.
So I've had some dreams where I almost am experiencing somebody else's experience.
Okay.
Which kind of has always led me to think that we are kind of experiencing the same thing just through a different lens.
Yeah.
Which kind of brings the whole like interconnected idea that we all share mutual